For more than a century, the Panama Canal has been the superhighway of world trade, an 82-kilometer stretch of man-made river connecting the Caribbean Sea with the Pacific Ocean. This mind-boggling megaproject would be impressive if completed today. For 1914, it was like going to the moon. As for the best option for avoiding a long voyage around South America, the canal's been a profitable linchpin of the global economy. But soon, that may be coming to an end. Two nearby countries are now racing to end the canal's dominance with some innovative megaprojects of their own. At least one of these is already up and running. But there's a catch. Panama's fighting back with a $1.6 billion plan to keep the ships and the money flowing. Who will win? Let's take a closer look. In this video, we'll dive into the crisis at the Panama Canal, which not only has the potential to upend a century of world trade, but also the economy of an entire nation. We'll also explore the two major competing projects, Mexico's Dry Canal rail route and Nicaragua's $50 billion mega canal. Finally, we'll explain how China's playing a giant game of chess with global logistics, potentially allowing it to come out on top no matter what happens. Let's get started. The country of Panama is located on a thin isthmus connecting Central and South America. Since the construction of the canal in the early 1900s, global shipping companies have had a reliable way to bypass the time-consuming and costly Cape Horn route. Most have been happy to pay for the advantage, and the Panama Canal's grown to handle around 6% of world trade by tonnage. This amounts to around 13,000 ships per year, generating up to $3 billion in profit for the Panamanian economy. This reliable income is vital to the state, and it's also under direct threat. Severe droughts have led to new capacity limits, cutting the transits through the canal from 14,000 to 11 or 12,000 per year. New doubts about the canal's ongoing superiority have led to a highly competitive race, in which other nations are attempting to secure a strategic advantage with alternative interoceanic routes. To understand the Panama Canal's newfound vulnerability, it's critical to understand the engineering behind this turn-of-the-century megaproject. The canal utilizes Panama's unique geology to bring the world's two largest oceans together. Though it's often thought of as a man-made river cutting through land, this is only partially true. The 82-kilometer canal begins in Colon, where it takes ships on an initial short trip into Lake Gatun. This 431 square kilometer freshwater lake spans nearly one-third of the isthmus, slowing ships to pass freely all the way to Gamboa, where they re-enter the canal. From there, it's another 20-kilometer journey to Panama City in the Pacific Ocean. Lake Gatun is the undeniable linchpin in what makes the canal system work. Created by damming the Chagres River and Lake Alajuela, it sits roughly 85 feet above sea level. This necessitates a series of locks, which move ships vertically between the heights of each new body of water. So, for decades, the canal's depended on its lakes and watershed for the fresh water needed to raise and lower enormous ships. But recent droughts, especially in 2024, have forced the Canal Authority to reduce vessel transits to as low as 22 per day. This is a significant decrease from previous year's averages, which numbered around 36. In early 2024, Lake Gatun's water levels fell to a new historic low, more than 6 feet beneath the previous year's totals. This may not sound like much when discussing such a vast body of water, but the implications are enormous, and it raised alarm bells across the world, especially in the Panamanian government. Due to the reduced capacity of the canal, ships that depended on it are either delayed or forced to take longer routes, increasing both costs and emissions. Meanwhile, the Panama Canal authorities attempted to make up for the income shortfall by raising toll rates. According to one source, rates in 2023 had already increased 59% before the surcharges from the drought. As a result, some bulk cargo and lower-value shipments are being priced out of canal transit altogether. The situation is untenable at best, and in response to harsh criticism about its toll rates, Panama's launched a major upgrade plan. It includes building a new dam reservoir system on the Indio River and unlocking an $8 billion modernization program for the canal and its watershed. Unfortunately, all of this could be too little too late. Enter Mexico. It only takes a quick look at a map to realize that no part of the Mexican peninsula is remotely as thin as the Panamanian Isthmus. This would make any sort of competitive canal unrealistic. So the Mexican government has decided to avoid water-based travel altogether. Instead, it'll seek to connect the Gulf and Pacific Ocean by a state-of-the-art rail and port corridor capable of moving cargo across 303 kilometers of land. First approved in 2019, the project is known as the Interoceanic Corridor of the Isthmus of Tehuantepec, or the CIIT. When completed, it'll link the Pacific port of Salina Cruz in Oaxaca with the Atlantic port of Coatzacoalcos and Veracruz via a series of 3 rail lines. In fact, it's already operating. The first freight transport took place in August of 2023, followed by the first passenger transport a month later. Though often considered just a rail line, the CIIT is actually a multimodal transport axis consisting of trains, upgrade ports, industrial parks, and energy infrastructure. Hundreds of kilometers of tracks were upgraded and modernized, while bridges, tunnels, and energy pipelines were also added. As far as the actual process, the CIIT works by moving the cargo, not the ships themselves, across land. Ships arrive in the newly revitalized ports, at which point their cargo containers are unloaded, moved onto specialized freight trains, and transported to the port on the other side, where they're then reloaded onto different ships. The Dry Canal offers several advantages over the Panamanian alternative, including faster transit for certain goods and lower water risk compared to a lock-based waterway. But it does have limitations. Aside from the need for 2 vessels rather than just 1, initial capacity estimates show much less throughput than the Panama Canal handles. For starters, projections currently estimate that the CIIT will be able to handle 1.14 million TEUs per year. This stands for 20-foot equivalent and refers to the standard shipping container size. So when fully operational, the CIIT can be expected to move 1.14 million containers. In 2022, the Panama Canal moved 10.9 million. This is far from a replacement and more of an alternative, and it isn't the only one. Most experts agree that the country in the best position to develop a competing canal is Nicaragua. In fact, the Nicaraguan Canal and Development Project has been in some form of development since 2014. Though the canal is largely conceptual and no set route has been established, many agree that Lake Nicaragua, an 8,264 square kilometer reservoir near the country's western coast, would play at least some role in the transit. In this way, the Nicaraguan Canal would essentially mimic its Panamanian counterpart, but eclipse it in length and scale, utilizing a strategic system of channels, locks, and reservoirs to move ships and their cargo across the 447-kilometer journey. The project was initially estimated at up to $50 billion, but reports from 2024 have increased this by as much as $14 billion. On its face, it's being backed by private Chinese interests, but many have tied this to the Chinese government's Belt and Road Initiative and that country's desire to influence key global shipping choke points. Despite Chinese money and influence, several obstacles remain. For instance, the original 2014 concession was canceled in 2024 due to environmental and social concerns. Researchers claim that any use of the lake would pose a significant threat to the ecology of the area, as Lake Nicaragua is the primary freshwater reservoir for all of Central America. For now, analysts consider it a grand dream, but engineers continue to pitch new paths and new ideas, and China continues to show great interest. Meanwhile, the mere possibility of a new ocean-cut canal through Nicaragua has sent ripples through the logistics world. Panama isn't sitting quietly while challengers line up. The canal authority's pushing hard to evolve and adapt rather than be replaced. For starters, the ACP is planning a new reservoir project on the Indio River that could secure water supply to the canal for the next 50 years. At a cost of $1.6 billion, this project would provide additional storage capacity, enabling more ship transits per day during dry seasons. In fact, current estimates say it could allow for a further 12 to 13 transits per day. The country is also exploring other measures, including water-saving lock technology, streamlined scheduling systems, and business deals to shore up control of logistics flows. Though water levels have improved in 2025, it seems clear that the ACP is focused on long-term solutions. Which brings us to the biggest player in all of this, China. Chinese interest can be found moving behind the scenes of both canals as well as the Mexican rail corridor. Sources indicate that Beijing is currently investing in Panama, Nicaragua, and Mexico, attempting to ensure its interests come out on top no matter which of the 3 routes becomes dominant. Though the cancellation of the 2014 concession in Nicaragua represents a major setback, it's clear that the goal's not changed one bit. Even Mexico's corridor involves Chinese and other foreign investment in industrial parks and logistics hubs. And in Panama, major infrastructure upgrades draw global funding and strategic resonance. This is about more than just trade. It's about who controls the passage, who sets the terms, and which route becomes the next major choke point in world commerce. It's very likely that the global trade era of one dominant canal may be giving way to a triangle of routes. If the Nicaraguan Canal happens, a fresh transoceanic waterway enters the game, and the added competition will likely drive down prices. This new era means shipping companies will have choices. If one route hits drought, delays, or geopolitics, another might step in. That, in turn, will alter how ports, manufacturing, and logistics clusters position themselves worldwide. Also, global supply chains will become more resilient, as well as more complex. Whatever happens, China wants to be in the best possible position. The Panama Canal changed the world when it opened in 1914, but now the world might change it back. Water scarcity, climate volatility, new technology, and geopolitics are combining to challenge the old order. Will Panama succeed in defending its crown? Will Mexico's dry corridor emerge as a viable challenger? Will Nicaragua realize its Grand Canal dream and shift global flows east or west? One thing is clear: the geography of tomorrow's trade routes is being drawn today, and the next passage between oceans will shape economies, nations, and industries for decades. We're building a truly monumental megaproject channel, with dozens more videos in the pipeline. For now, keep an eye on Vizionary, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you'll be the first to know when it's all set. Until next time.